थैंक्स एवरीबॉडी। मो साथी जो दुई जन अच्छा से विषय तो कहबी आम एमती गोटे सब्जेक्ट आज बाछीचे जो गोटे आर्ट आउ लिटरेचर फेस्टिवल सांगे ये पूरा तेढ़ा आउ गोटे डायरेक्शन में पड़ोची किंतु कथाटा एते हल्का भी नुहे। आर्ट आउ लिटरेचर पछरे जो श्रद्धाटा थाए, आर्ट आउ लिटरेचर पछरे जो आत्मिक और हार्दिक से भाव को नहीं ये प्रसंग ये जड़े व्यक्तिर कथा नुहे। आम द्रौपदी मुर्मू विषय कथा हाँ जाऊे जी कि भारत महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जे कि ओडिशा देखा गले द्वितीय राष्ट्रपति कारण भिवी गिरी प्रथमे थिले से ओडिशा रे जन्म ब्रह्मपुर रे ही तांकर पाठपढ़ा सी होचंती एकमात्र राष्ट्रपति द्रौपदी मुर्मू जे स्वाधीनता परे जन्म नहीं बाकी समस्ते 1947 पूर्व ये होचंती एकमात्र आदिवासी राष्ट्रपति एवं ओडिशा पाए कहीं के जानी द्रौपदी मुर्मूंकर ए राष्ट्रपति पद संभाळिबा गोटे बहुत आवेगिक प्रसंग। आज मो ए विषय आलोचना करबा पई मो सहित अछंती मते जने कहला जे आज ओढ़ण षष्ठी मो कहली ना 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 षष्ठी नहीं आज पंचमी। आज मो साथ अछंती खास पंचमी मानू उकिल। सी इज बेसिकली एन एजुकेशन लीडर। से होचंती सी इज द फाउंडर ट्रस्टी ऑफ DN विजडम ट्री ग्लोबल स्कूल। गोटे ज्ञान वृक्ष को लेकिन जदि गोटे विद्यालय कल्पना करा जाए से विद्यालय प्रतिष्ठात्री पंचमी निजे। पंचमी को देखिले मत एक चढ़ई कथा मन पड़े पक्षी से सी इज एन आविड बर्ड वाचर एवं सी इज एन एक्सलेंट राइटर ट्रांसलेटर एंड आमर डांस हो अन्य आर्ट फॉर्म्स हो हैंडलूम्स हो ये सबूर गोटे एंथुजियास्ट एंड प्रमोटर। पंचमी आउ गोटे बहुत बड़ सुंदर परिचय होची जे से द्रौपदी मुर्मूंकर बायोग्राफी लिखुचंती। मु से विषय तांको पचारि मुझे विषय जान नथिली। इनफैक्ट संदीप बाबू बायोग्राफी विषय बहुत चर्चा होती पेंगुइन वाला चर्चा कर देचंती। संदीप साहू मो पाखे जे बस बाँ पाखे संदीप साहू फेमस जर्नलिस्ट फ्रॉम ओडिशा बहुत बहुत परिचित वेरी पॉपुलर ये जे सी जो प्रसंग गुड़ाक नियंती आउ जो भाव से प्रसंग आलोचना करती ता बहुत भिन्न होता है साधारण सांबादिक मान अपेक्षा तांकर दृष्टिभंगी भिन्न। मैडम द्रौपदी मुर्मू जो अंचल आसी मयूरभंज अंचल से ही अंचल पिलादिन कटे संदीप एवं संदीप आज मैडम प्रेसिडेंट नाम रे द्रौपदी मुर्मूंकर जो बायोग्राफी लिखुचंती ताकू प्रकाश करुचंती पेंगुइन इंडिया। पेंगुइन इंडिया ठारू ये प्रेस्टिजियस असाइनमेंट पाइला परे तांकर अनेक गुड़े इंटरव्यू साक्षात्कार प्रकाश पाइथिला विभिन्न पत्र पत्रिका रे। मु सेते जहाँ देखी पेंगुइन जहाँ कही पेंगुइन देमसेल्व्स दे वर वेरी वेरी एक्जुबरेंट अबाउट दिस। दे टोल्ड दैट दिस इज गोइंग टू बी वन ऑफ द मोस्ट ऑथेंटिक and definitive biography of Madam Droupadi Murmu, which will talk about her trials and tribulations, her struggle during childhood days. जो विषय रे संदीप कर बहुत गुड़ाए व्यक्तिगत अनुभव अच्छे से परिवेश विषय रे से परिस्थिति विषय रे मु अधिका किसी कहबी ना। आज आम आलोचना को जीवा आलोचना आरंभ करुचे द्रौपदी मुर्मू संपर्क में। आरंभ जहाँ कहते द्रौपदी मुर्मू आम खाली जड़े राष्ट्रपति नुहति भारत और महामहिम राष्ट्रपति अनेक थिले। आज द्रौपदी मुर्मू ओडिशा जाई रायसीना हिल रायरंगपुर जाई रायसीना हिल रे पहुँची गले यहाँ ओडिशा बासी भितर केमी गोटे पुलक केमी गोटे गोटे स्पंदन गोटे केमी गोटे चमक खेली देछि जोटा कि अन्य कौन परिस्थिति है नथिला। आफ्टर ए लॉन्ग लॉन्ग टाइम वी रियली फेल्ट वेरी एक्साइटेड वी फेल्ट वेरी थ्रिल्ड अबाउट द्रौपदी मुर्मू बीइंग चोजन as the President of India. I will come to Panchami here. My question to her is, Droupadi Murmu is a woman president, and after she assumed office, we heard a lot of very uncharitable remark about her. I straight away come to this because there's no time to go into other aspects. Should a woman president be looked at in this manner? जने महिला राष्ट्रपति को एभली दृष्टि देखा कौन आम मानकर एते संकीर्णता मानसिक संकीर्णता जे आमे तांकर रंग उपरे मतामत दबु तांकर रूप उपरे मतामत दबु एवं शेष रे राष्ट्रपति को राष्ट्रपत्नी बोली कहबु. How do you look at it, Panchami?
Namaskar. Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank Manoo bhai and Odisha Art and Literary Festival for organizing this session on Madam President Droupadi Murmu. She is indeed the person of the hour. There's no doubt about that. And coming to your question, I don't think gender ever defines leadership. It is the smallness of minds that have tried to taint this momentous occasion in history. I would say that Droupadi Murmu being chosen as the President of India has united the diversity in this democracy like never before. Therefore, when they talk about her color, her tribal origin, whether she's fit or not fit, I think this is best left ignored. She rises above it all. Like Maya Angelou has said, still I rise, I rise, I rise.
We talk about women empowerment in this country and this state in particular. How do you relate Droupadi Murmu's rise to that position to women empowerment campaigns in the country?
Absolutely. This is a time when we are seeing women being empowered more and more. And she represents hope and aspiration for women from all sections of society. And I think this is a very definitive moment for women's empowerment. India has sent out a signal to the world that yes, we are a buzzing democracy and we are very intent on ensuring that women find their rightful place under the sun.
Thank you. I think that is a very clear and very specific answer. From that answer, I pick up my next question to Sandeep. आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव स्वाधीनतार अमृत महोत्सव आम पालुचे 2022 रे 1997 रे आमे पालुथिले गोल्डन जुबली ऑफ आवर इंडिपेंडेंस एवं सेही 1997 रे द्रौपदी मुर्मू राजनीति रे प्रवेश कले. She doesn't have a very long political career also. 1997 she entered into politics. 2022, just 25 years, she is the President of India. आज प्रथम करी आमे स्वाधीनतार अमृत महोत्सव बोधे ठीक खांटी अर्थ बुझिले जो गोटे साधारण मनीष जे कई मनीष भारतर सर्वोच्च आसन अलंकृत करि पारे. आपण एई आस्पेक्ट को केमती देखुचंती जे साधारण रु साधारणतम मनीषटिए जा पाखे सेमिति खास किछि ट्रैपिंग्स नहीं, बहुत गुड़े पैसा नहीं, बहुत गुड़े शिक्षा नहीं, बहुत गुड़े राजनीतिक कनेक्शन नहीं, किंतु से भारतर शीर्ष स्थान को जाउची. केम देखुचंती आपण?
निश्चित भाव रे याकू आमर डेमोक्रेटिक रूट्स बा आमर गणतंत्र मूल से जे दृढ़ होईछि तार या गोटे निदर्शन तार गोटे प्रमाण हिसाब रे मु देखे जे इंडियन डेमोक्रेसी हैज ट्रूली टेकन रूट्स and has matured over the years. That's what has made it possible for a woman born in a remote tribal village and coming from very humble beginnings, very poor family. She has gone up to the highest constitutional post. There can be no better advertisement for Indian democracy and its credentials than this.
मते गोटे जिंस लागे जे बीजेपी को नेकी बहुत तर्क हुए, बहुत स्टंच बीजेपी सपोर्टर आउ अपोजर भी अच्छंती. अनेक कहती जे ट्राइबल को हिंदू फोल्ड भितर पुणी थरे नहीं जावा पई एटा गोटे स्ट्रैटेजी कहबार अर्थ होची ट्राइबल्स मैंने नॉर्मली ये कन्वर्सन एंगल रु मिशनरीज एंगल रु टिके हिंदू मेन स्ट्रीम टू आड़ी होकर रोते एवं सेटा कन्स्टेंटली गोटे कांग्रेस रो भोट बैंक होकर थिला. एंड बीजेपी हैज नाउ actually taken up a very forward looking strategy to take them into the liberal Hindu fold?
ନିଶ୍ଚିତ ଭାବରେ ସେଇଟା ଗୋଟେ ବିବାଦୀୟ ବିଷୟ ଏବଂ ମୋର ବିଶ୍ୱାସ ଯେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ରାଷ୍ଟ୍ରପତି ପ୍ରାର୍ଥୀ ହିସାବରେ ବାଛିବା ପଛରେ ଗୋଟେ ରାଜନୈତିକ ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ ନିଶ୍ଚିତ ଭାବରେ ଏଇଟା ଥିଲା ଯେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଯେହେତୁ ସେ ଶିବ ପୂଜା କରନ୍ତି, ହିନ୍ଦୁ ଦେବାଦେବୀଙ୍କୁ ପୂଜା କରନ୍ତି, ତାଙ୍କ ନାଁ ବି ଗୋଟେ ହିନ୍ଦୁ ମିଥୋଲୋଜିକାଲ କ୍ୟାରେକ୍ଟର ଉପରେ ରହିଛି ଏବଂ ସେଇଟା at the same time ସେ ତାଙ୍କର ଟ୍ରାଇବାଲ ରୁଟ୍ସକୁ ଭୁଲି ନାହାନ୍ତି ବା ତାଙ୍କ ଟ୍ରାଇବାଲ ସିଷ୍ଟମ ଅଫ ୱାର୍ସିପକୁ ତ୍ୟାଗ କରିଦେଇନାହାନ୍ତି and she I think has combined in herself the best of both her tribal roots and the Hindu tradition, and that's what has clinched the issue in her favor in her nomination as the president candidate. ଏବଂ ନିଶ୍ଚିତ ଭାବରେ ତା ପଛରେ ଏଇ ରାଜନୈତିକ ଉଦ୍ଦେଶ୍ୟ ନିଶ୍ଚିତ ଭାବରେ ଅଛି ଯେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ଗୋଟେ ଟ୍ରାଇବାଲ ସୋସାଇଟିରୁ ଆସିଥିବା ଜଣେ କିନ୍ତୁ ହିନ୍ଦୁ ଧର୍ମର ରିଚୁଆଲ୍ସରେ ବିଶ୍ୱାସ କରୁଥିବା ଜଣେ ମହିଳା ହିସାବରେ ସେମାନେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ପ୍ରେଜେଣ୍ଟ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରାହେଇଛି ଏବଂ ସେଇଟା କିଛି ପରିମାଣରେ ହୁଏତ ତାଙ୍କୁ ରାଜନୈତିକ ଫାଇଦା ବି ଦେଇପାରେ, କିନ୍ତୁ ମୁଁ ଭାବୁଛି ଯେଉଁ ଲାର୍ଜର ଇସ୍ୟୁ ଯେ whether tribals are really Hindus or not, ସେ ପ୍ରଶ୍ନଟାର ସମାଧାନ ସେଥିରେ ହେବ ନାହିଁ। ସେ ବିବାଦ ଆହୁରି ବେଶ କିଛି ବର୍ଷ ଚାଲିବ ଏବଂ ମୁଁ ଯେତିକି ଲୋକଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା କରିଛି, ଟ୍ରାଇବାଲ ଲୋକଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ, ଟ୍ରାଇବାଲ ଲିଡର୍ସଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ, ଆକ୍ଟିଭିଷ୍ଟଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ, ତାଙ୍କ ଏକାଡେମିସିଆନ୍ସଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ, ସେଥିରୁ ମୋର ହୃଦବୋଧ ହେଇଛି ଯେ ଅଧିକାଂଶ, ସବୁ ନହେଲେ ବି ଅଧିକାଂଶ, overwhelming majority of Adivasis consider themselves Adivasis and not Hindus, and they want ଆମର ଯେଉଁ ସରକାରୀ ଫର୍ମ ଗୁଡ଼ାକରେ ଥାଏ ରିଲିଜନ୍ ଗୋଟେ କଲମ ଥାଏ ଯେଉଁଥିରେ ଆଇଦର ହିନ୍ଦୁ ଥିବ ନହେଲେ ଖ୍ରୀଷ୍ଟିଆନ ମୁସଲିମ, ସେଥିରେ ଗୋଟେ ଅଦର୍ସ ଆଟଲିଷ୍ଟ ରହିବା କଥା ବା ସ୍ପେସିଫିକାଲି ସେ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ଯେ ଗୋଟେ ଆଦିବାସୀ, ଆଦିବାସୀ ଗୋଟେ ସ୍ୱତନ୍ତ୍ର ଧର୍ମ, ଦେ ଆର୍ ନେଚର ୱର୍ସିପର୍ସ, ଦେ ଆର୍ ନଟ୍ ହିନ୍ଦୁଜ, ଦେୟାର ସୁଡ୍ ବି ଏ ସେପାରେଟ କଲମ ଫର୍ ଦେମ୍ ଟୁ ରାଇଟ୍। ଏଇ ତିନିଟା ଅପସନ୍ ବାହାରେ ସେମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ଚତୁର୍ଥ ଅପସନ୍ ଅଧିକାଂଶ ଆଦିବାସୀ ସେଟା ଚାହାନ୍ତି, ସେତିକି ମୋର ହୃଦବୋଧ ହେଇଛି। କିନ୍ତୁ ଇଏ ଯେମିତି ମିଶନାରୀଙ୍କୁ ନେଇକିରି ବିବାଦ ଅଛି, ଯେଉଁମାନେ କନଭର୍ଟ ହେଲେ, ଆମର କନଷ୍ଟିଟ୍ୟୁସନ୍ କହୁଛି ଯେ ଯେଉଁମାନେ କନଭର୍ଟ ହେଲେ ସେମାନେ ବି ଦେ ୱିଲ୍ କଣ୍ଟିନ୍ୟୁ ଟୁ ଏନ୍ଜୟ ଦ ବେନିଫିଟ୍ସ ଅଫ୍ ରିଜର୍ଭେସନ୍, କିନ୍ତୁ ସେମ୍ ଫ୍ୟାସିଲିଟି ଇଜ୍ ନଟ୍ ଏକ୍ସଟେଣ୍ଡେଡ୍ ଟୁ ହରିଜନ୍ସ। ତ ସେ ଯେଉଁ ବିବାଦଟା ରହିଛି ସେ ବିବାଦର ସମାଧାନ ମୁଁ ଭାବୁଛି ନିକଟ ଭବିଷ୍ୟତରେ ହେବାର ନାହିଁ ଏବଂ ସେ ଯେଉଁ ଟଗ୍ ଅଫ୍ ୱାର୍ ଚାଲିଛି whether they are Hindus or not, ସେ ଟଗ୍ ଅଫ୍ ୱାର୍ ଆହୁରି ବେଶ କିଛି ଦିନ ଚାଲିବ, ମେ ବି ଲଙ୍ଗ ଆଫ୍ଟର ଦ୍ରୌପଦୀ ମୁର୍ମୁ completes her term as president, that controversy will still be going on.
True. I'll come to another aspect. This question is for Panchami. Whenever Madam Murmu speaks, nowadays a few videos have already come, we sense something really very genuine about her. She speaks from her heart. In one of the discussions with the Chief Justices of various high courts, she actually left the script, switched over to Hindi and started talking in a manner which actually touched every heart. That kind of authenticity, that kind of genuineness, we had not seen with political leaders. Maybe Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was able to connect that way. How do you look at this genuineness of this person?
I think it is her genuineness that has actually endeared her to everyone and across all parties. I mean, if you look at it, everyone was overjoyed when she was selected to be the President of India. And like Sandeep Bhai said, that if you go and talk to people with whom she has been for the longest time, each and every one says that she is indeed a very genuine person. And I'm sure, as a politician, she must have played her political games too. I'm sure of it, otherwise she wouldn't have risen. However, she has always been very committed, very genuine to every cause that she has held close to her heart. And I think this genuineness is very apparent. And this genuineness is what also gives her supreme confidence when you see her demeanor And when she addressed the parliament in Hindi, she was so confident. It went so smoothly. There was this whole galaxy of leaders there, and she was holding her own. And she said that she just proved that she is no pushover. She was standing tall, and I think all this stems from the fact that she has this very deep genuineness within her. And I think that is the person Droupadi Murmu is, and that is what needs to be talked about, because after a long time, we are seeing a very genuine leader in the galaxy of leaders in India. We're seeing somebody who's educated, who knows her work, and who's extremely genuine. I think genuineness defines Droupadi Murmu.
Madam, tell us something about the biography that you were writing.
Well, when I was approached to write the biography, I was in a state of shock because I have never thought of it. And like every other citizen of India, when she assumed the governorship of Jharkhand, I was very happy. I just read about her, I watched a few of her interviews, and that was it. I was just like any other citizen of India who was actually reveling in that moment of a tribal woman having assumed that post. However, when I was asked to write the biography, initially I was a bit diffident because I saw that a lot has already been spoken. And she has led a life where there aren't many curves, many bends. It's been pretty straight. Everything is there. So what more can you do? So I was a little diffident. However, when I thought about it, I realized that it's the uniqueness about Droupadi Murmu that needs to be spoken about more. And for that, one needs to go into a lot of research. And it will make a very interesting reading for sure. It's going to throw insight into a woman who has held her own. And it is not a very simple story of this poor girl from this background coming and then coming to Ramadevi College and then, like she becoming counselor, etc., etc. There are a lot of things that have made Droupadi Murmu who she is today. And that is going to be extremely inspiring for, not only for women, for the whole new generation who will know that yes, where there is a will, there is a way. And Droupadi Murmu stands testimony to that. So my book would be basically exploring that side of Droupadi Murmu, where I will be writing from my heart and not from my head. That's how it's going to be.
Thank you. I come to Sandeep now. Sandeep, when is your book expected?
I've just sent my first draft of the manuscript, and I'm told it will take around 6 months for the whole process to be completed and the book to hit the markets. That's what I have been told.
We are all eagerly looking forward to both the biographies. But Sandeep, I will ask you one more question. You are actually kind of focusing on our childhood days. It was told by Penguin that your focus is on the trials and tribulations of childhood. Can you tell us something very interesting which you can share with the audience?
I think some of the people present here might have already known about it. But the one thing that struck me was how she came to Bhubaneswar from her remote village in Uparbeda. And even men of her village hadn't gone much beyond Rairangapur. Rairangapur was the ultimate city for them. And for women, maybe even many of them hadn't even seen the Rairangapur. And coming from a place like that, and at the age of around 12, 13, she heard that Kartik Majhi, who was a minister in the Odisha government at the time, he was coming to address a meeting in Rairangapur. And she asked her father, Biranchi Murmu, Biranchi Tudu rather, take me to that meeting. Her father initially tried to dissuade her. Then when she insisted, he agreed and took her to that meeting, thinking maybe out of curiosity she wants to see what a political meeting is like. But the surprising part was while the minister was speaking, she went on to the stage carrying her class 7 certificate and mark sheets and all that, and told the minister, I went to study in Bhubaneswar. Minister was rather puzzled, and he asked his personal staff to take the details and see if it is possible. The minister actually happened to be a distant relative of Droupadi. ତାଙ୍କର କକା ହେବେ ସିଏ, ତ ସିଏ ପରବର୍ତ୍ତୀ ସମୟରେ ଆସିକିରି ତାଙ୍କର ଏଠି ଆସିକିରି ୟୁନିଟ୍ 2 गर्ल्स हाई स्कूल एडमिशन कराला. And since he was a tribal student, there were quotas assigned to each district. Each district, and there were 13 districts in those days. So each district was assigned 2 or 3 tribal students who were entitled to come and study here and stay in the hostel. That's how he came. But the incident that I narrated was told me something about her early childhood. I was struck by the fact that a girl of 12 years age, she had the vision that no, this is too small for me. Uparveda is too small, Badampahadi is too small for me. I must go to a bigger place, study in a better school and make my life. She never thought about politics, I'm sure. Even when she was working here in the secretariat, I'm sure whatever I have gathered about her, politics was farthest from her mind. Even when she took up the teachership job in Rairangapur after resigning from the government job, even then politics was not in her mind at all. But she wanted to go higher in life, do something more than what her immediate peers had done. So that was the vision, that was the ambition that struck me about her early childhood.
True. That she was a teacher for some time in her life. That also gave her that additional skill to connect to people.
Yes.
And to understand what the other person is thinking. Panchami, you being a teacher yourself, you are heading at a teaching institution. I will ask you this question. How does a person really deal with personal tragedies? She lost her husband. She lost her both the sons. And she still stood her ground and has been able to overcome this kind of personal crisis. How do you look at it?
When I was listening to those stories, I wasn't able to sleep. We had read in the magazines and in the newspapers, and she had also talked about it in her interviews. But when we went, on ground for research, and we were actually listening from many people about how she reacted when she was losing one after the other, and then how she gathered herself, that entire transformation from material loss to embracing the mystical, that is a story of India. Yes. We Indians are absolutely that, we have that resilience. That is the story of India. That is the story of Indian womanhood. The strength inside the Indian woman to cope and to ensure that while she is battling her grief, everything around her remains in order. I think that is what Droupadi Murmu stands for. Her tragedy has made her stronger, has made her greater. I'm sure somewhere there is that gnawing grief constantly. That is why you will never see her extremely happy. You never see her with a big smile on her face, though she's always smiling gently. She is a picture of equanimity. And I think that transition from loss to embracing the mystical and then finding her way ahead has given her this sense of equanimity, which is so difficult to attain. And I think that also speaks volumes about the kind of person she is. And I'd say woven with this resilience, also, one can analyze her genes, because we know that indigenous people and tribes, they are a very resilient people. So we also need to go into that tribal history. What makes tribes resilient? how do they cope so well in spite of so many storms, so many obstacles that come their way? So I believe that Droupadi Murmu's life is a study of many things. It's a lesson on many, many aspects of India that need to be studied. And I hope that Sandeep Bhai and me, we will weave these little things together and bring out a very broad-based story and say that yes, this lady who is now the President of India, she has risen through trials and tribulations, and she is a lesson for the entire world to emulate on how life has to be led.
Beautiful. I entirely agree with you. In fact, I like to say something. Although people make this kind of comments, Rashtrapatni and this, that, she's more of a Rashtra And her inner beauty actually comes out so nicely, so nicely. People talk about color and other things. My God, she looks so graceful, so beautiful. And with that white sari, handloom sari, I don't know what better fashion statement can be made. She is a style icon. You being a person from this line, can you please comment on that? Her style, her dressing sense.
I'm sure she's not even aware of how graceful she looks. That day when she strode on the Bodadanda and she prostrated,
Yes.
I think these are the things that go much beyond, you know, your fashion sense, your dressing. So people who are making loose and light comments, they obviously don't go into the deeper aspects, which is sad, but which is okay because it's a minuscule, maybe 2% or 1% of people. But the rest of us are applauding her. We are admiring her dignity. We are admiring her grace. We are admiring her sincerity. We are admiring her loyalty. We are admiring her reverence for God. And we are admiring the fact that she's holding on to her culture, and she's also making her stand as the President of India with such great confidence. Until today, have you ever seen anybody speak condescendingly to her or about her? Condescendingly? Nobody, nobody, because heart of hearts, everyone has very deep respect for her. So when she wears that handloom sari and she walks, she is a picture of grace and dignity, and I don't think any fashion statement can be greater than her because she exudes power, she exudes her own sense, like her own kind of beauty, her own brand of beauty, and most importantly, she carries it with so much of dignity and grace. So, I mean, I think Droupadi Murmu, the more you speak, you can go on. And since we are into such deep research on her, and there are so many facets, so many admirable things about her, I think we can just go on and on and on.
True. Sandeep, I have a small question to you. She's just not a woman, or she's just not a soft-hearted person, a loving person. She's also very firm on a few things. She has strong views, and she's very firm on her principles, particularly when she talks about the interest of the tribals. She's very firm there. And she has very specific programs, and she talks about it in no uncertain terms. How do you see Droupadi Murmu articulating her ideas in future, and whether she can be a symbol of tribal upliftment, or for that matter, Odisha's development?
I think her tenure as governor of Jharkhand for 6 years have given us enough evidence of her strength of character, her belief in the constitutional mechanism, and her commitment to tribal causes. You know, there was a BJP government in power, and she belonged to the BJP, and it was the BJP which made her governor. There was a BJP government in Jharkhand, and the BJP government in Jharkhand moved to amendment bills.
Tenancy laws.
Yes.
Okay.
The first was the Chotanagpur Tenancy Act, and the second one was Santal Pargana Tenancy Act. Both of them were pre-independence British era acts, which were basically promulgated to protect the land, tribal land. and prevent alienation of their land. And the amendments had some provisions which would have made it easier for the government to take over tribal land, and even companies and other business interests, it would have made it possible for tribal land to be taken over by outsiders, whether government or non-government. And she stood firm, knowing fully well that she would incur the wrath of the powers that be, because even the central government was very keen that the amendment should go ahead. And the BJP government in power in Jharkhand obviously was more than keen, because it had moved dirt. But she was firm and stood her ground. And her principal secretary at the time, Mr. Santosh Satpathy, I met him at Ranchi. He told me, Madam was prepared to resign.
Oh.
She was prepared to resign on the issue. One day, he said, I saw Madam in a very tense mood, and I asked her, what happened? No, they are putting me under a lot of pressure, and if they continue doing that, I am ready to quit. That's what she told him. Just on how many Indian politicians are ready to stake their governorship on a issue which one need not stick his or her neck out. I think that showed her, and I was really, having known this, I was really amused when in the run-up to the election, some of the opposition leaders, they said, she's going to be a rubber stamp. And obviously they either did not know about what she did as governor of Jharkhand, or were deliberately ignoring what they already knew. And I have absolutely no doubt that she will be the same kind of person even as the president. And whenever the government wants to force her to do something which she is not convinced about, she is definitely going to stand her ground and do the best she can. At least when it comes to protecting the tribal interests, I think she is not going to concede, and she is going to stand firm. And on any public issue, even during the very long Pathalgadi movement. Pathalgadi movement was a movement by tribals where they disowned the government, they disowned the Indian constitution, they disowned the entire system. They said, we are our own government. And they would just put a stone where outsiders are not allowed. No police, no magistrate, no collector, nobody is allowed. And she showed through her conduct. She invited 700 village pradhans to Raj Bhavan, called all the secretaries, including the chief secretary, and asked them to note down their grievances, and gave them a personal commitment that your grievances will be addressed and your problems will be solved. And that's how she managed to somehow arrest the movement, and finally it fizzled out. Something that the government itself couldn't do. In fact, the government adopted a very confrontational attitude towards that Pathalgadi movement. The chief minister threatened to go and smash the tribal movement himself. But she handled it with great maturity, with empathy, and got the whole issue solved without any violence, without anything. So she is going to be the same as president. I don't see her change herself too much as the president.
About Odisha?
About Odisha, I'm extremely hopeful, having known her through her intermediaries, political colleagues and others, that she will do everything possible within her powers to see to it that Odisha's interests are protected, and especially in some fields like railways, and mineral resources and the mineral royalty, things like that. I'm sure she is going to discreetly, without going overboard about it, or without actually taking any confrontational attitude towards the government, she is going to protect the interests of Odisha and further the interests of Odisha as President of India.
Because she shares a very, very cordial relationship with the present Chief Minister.
Yes, definitely.
We can hope for something.
Absolutely.
Of course we can. Of course, they enjoy the best of relations. And in fact, Naveen Patnaik went out of his way. The moment her candidature was announced, he was in Rome at the time, and he lost no time in complimenting, congratulating her, and in fact, asking other parties to come and support her. And that's not often that you see a party leader of another party. In fact, for some people wondered whether she was the BJP candidate or the BJD candidate. The BJD celebrations were so in your face. Many people, in fact, joked about that. So I'm sure, given the kind of relationship that she has with the Chief Minister and her love for the state, I'm sure Odisha will get, it has already got its due, in the sense that she was made the president. In fact, Odisha never had a very good political representation at the national level, except for a couple of ministers at the central level. I don't think Odia has got too many good positions at the national level, and her elevation to the post of president was the best thing that could have happened to Odisha, and I'm sure there are many more good things to coming in the future while she is president for the next 5 years.
Actually, Droupadi Murmu represents some kind of a dream for all of us. We are all very, very, very positive about the future that is going to come. During her recent visit to Odisha, she talked about her dreams. During that civic reception inside Raj Bhavan, her speech was, that one line was quoted in Samvad, "Ei matira jhiyo hisabre, mor bhi bahut swapna achi. Mor bhi ei rajya bishare bahut swapna achi." How do you present that dream to the children of the state? What I mean is, the next generation, because people who sit here and discuss here are one, and the people who are actually in the schools and colleges going ahead in their life, they should have that kind of a dream, that kind of a positivity about that.
आमे जेतल तांकर सब इंटरव्यू फर्स्ट देखिलु सेथरे से बहुत इंटरव्यू रे कहिचंती जे मु स्वप्न लाइक देखिया को भी डरू थिली कान आमे एत्ते गरीब थिलु मु कोन स्वप्न देखिबी मोर तिला मु टिके पाठ पढिबी तापर चाकरी करिबी मोर फैमिली को संभाळिबी हाउएवर से ड्रीम टा केबे देखिले सेटा स्टिल आमे जानी पारुनु कि से एक्चुअली किछि एस्पिरेशन करिथिले ना अल्टीमेटली what came her way she embraced it with a lot of dignity and with a lot of commitment. I really don't know. However, I think now that she is in a position where she can influence minds, she is talking about this dream that yes, you can have the courage to dream, to hope, to aspire, and I think this is, it's extremely valuable to, and it has to be shared with the younger generation. And her story is nothing short of a, you know, like of a Hindi movie, you know, it's nothing short of an inspirational movie. So I think great inspiration stories have to be shared, and when we have one of our very own from our state of Odisha, it is extremely important. And in fact, the day of that civic reception, like when she was here, and there was, like it was announced that schools have to close down at 12 o'clock. So from morning until 12 o'clock, in our classrooms, we were only talking about her. We were showing her interviews, and we were only talking about her inspirational life, her struggles, and how she has started and where she has ended up today, and that she is the President of India. So therefore, yes, very much her story has to be carried forward. And in fact, that is one of the main focuses that I have in the biography that I'm writing, because I really think it needs to go to children and to young adults and to the young generation, and it needs to be read, and we have to learn from her. She is just a walking, talking lesson for all of us, And I think each one of us needs to imbibe many, 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 many things. Most importantly, a sense of gratitude, a sense of empathy, and a sense of, how to go forward in life even when you have nothing with you.
जगन्नाथଙ୍କ कृपाରୁ द्रौपदी मुर्मू आज राष्ट्रपति होती से पुरीर बड़दाण्ड आप वर्णना करते पुरीर बड़दाण्ड से चालीटा और से जो भाव में साष्टांग प्रणिपात कले एवं जमती से पुरी राजभवन भितर बसिकी तले बसिकी से कदली पत्र खाऊँ से दृश्य सब लोक हृदय को छुई जाइए से जहाँ लिखिं से नोटा एवं मत लगुच ये जगन्नाथ आशीर्वाद ना एमती गोटे साधारण लोक जाकि भारत राष्ट्रपति हठात हो किसी छोटिया कथा नुह प्रभुंर करुणा नथिले आम ओडिया लोक विश्वास करूँ प्रभुंर करुणा नथिले एभली घटना प्रायतः देखा जाएनी से सेमती गोटे रुथलेस कंप्लीटर नुहति से सेमती राजनीतिक दाउपेंच भितर से नथिले से मैनिपुलेशंस भितर से बिल्कुल ही सर्वाइव कर पार न तथापि आज से भारत राष्ट्रपति संदीप आम कनक्लूड करवा मु चाहूँगी जे यही जिनटा गोटे समराइज करूँ एवं यही स्वप्नटा को जोटा अमेरिका जो आई अल्सो हाव ए ड्रीम से यही स्वप्नटा को आप समराइज करूँ एवं आम सारिबा एइथिरे जे जगन्नाथंकर करुणा एवं ये द्रौपदी मुर्मूंकर आज राष्ट्रपति पदवी रे पशिबा याकू ही नहीं शेष कथा
I have one observation from that. In her most tragic moments, she has said that she thought life is worth living when she had affiliation to Brahma Kumari order. Yes. Was it incidental or she was already a member of that?
No.
Yes.
No.
That's a very good question.
Yes.
Shall I repeat it for others?
Yes, please do.
The way she overcame her personal tragedies, that was primarily because it actually her affiliation to the Prajapita Brahma Kumari Shaurya Vishwavidyalaya has actually helped her to gain that kind of a spiritual strength. So whether she was already affiliated to Prajapita Brahma Kumari or it happened afterwards.
She was not already affiliated, though she had gone to the local Prajapita center a couple of times, but only as a guest, not as a member or a follower. Only after, when she was in a depression following the death of her elder son, there was Mr. Prahalad Dora, who was the Deputy Speaker of the Odisha Assembly. He had gone to Rairangapur and obviously he went to meet Droupadi Murmu, saw her in a state of depression. And then he went to the local Brahmakumari center and he told the seniors in that center that you must get Droupadi ji to your center and let her start attending your sessions, prayer sessions. And the next day, he in fact sent her his vehicle with a driver to fetch. First, the vehicle came to Prajapita Brahmakumari Center. From there, 2 volunteers went to Droupadi's house, and then Droupadi Murmu was invited, and she just mechanically, initially for the first few days, it was just only sit quietly, attend her sessions, and then went back. But gradually, over a period of time, she started really getting deeper into the whole ritual and the philosophy that they propagate, and became such a staunch believer that she then started converted a place in her own house as a prayer house and started going out with the other followers of the cult to nearby villages and spread the word around. So it was, and she has confessed in numerous interviews given to TV channels after that, that it was her association with the Prajapita Brahmakumaris that helped her overcome the personal tragedies that she had to go through.
Sir, just on this related way, some people attributed to her fortitude. You see, all of us are, I would suspect one such order that helped me to overcome very serious challenges in my own life. So as logic. Why I am saying it is her fortitude, stoic nature which helped her survive that, or the providential solution she came across from her order. How much of it will attribute to both the factors?
Obviously, I would personally attribute it more to the strength of her character than her association with Prajapati.
Correct. Correct.
It has to be there. Not everyone can. But yes, it made her more stoic, and it helped her when the next two tragedies happened within quick succession. Her husband died, and then the second child died. It was much easier for her, or less difficult, let us say less difficult for her to cope with the two other deaths that they came. The first times she was completely shattered like any woman would be. If someone loses a son who is just 25, obviously any mother would be shattered, and she was also shattered. But by the time the next death took place, she was already deep into Prajapita Brahmakumari philosophy, and obviously it made it less difficult for her to cope with the subsequent deaths. And coming to your original question about her faith in the Lord Jagannath, and the way she conducted herself during that visit to Puri. In fact, it was so touching. It warmed the heart of every Odia who watched her on television. I'm sure even I was. Someone is almost in tears. That kind. Yes. It kite Rashtrapati asichanti. In fact, it has become a routine for every president of India who visits Odisha to go to Puri and pray before the Lord. But no one bothered to get down from the vehicle before reaching the Singodwar. आश्चर्य कथा सी 2 किलोमीटर पूर्वरु निजे तांको सिक्यूरिटी वाला भी तांको भी किछि एडवांस नोटिस से दे नथिले एवं she just got down from the vehicle and surprised everyone, and then started walking just like every average Odia devotee goes, arms stretched out, and then alternatively accepting the greetings of the bystanders. It was so heartwarming, and her faith, let me tell you, this was watched by every television watcher, but something which has not been seen by anybody, but I came across during my research for this book, was once she had this desire of रात्रि जो बेश हुए ठाकुरंकर बड़ सिंगार बेश मध्यरात्र जोटा हुए सेटा देखिबार तांकर गोटे भारी इच्छा थिला, किंतु विभिन्न कारण पई से देखि पार नथिले। तो गवर्नर पदरु अब्याहति नेला परे जो वर्षे थिले सी बिफोर बीइंग नॉमिनेटेड एज प्रेसिडेंशियल कैंडिडेट से पीरियड गोटे थर से भुवनेश्वर आस्थांती एवं से कहले जे मु टिके चाहूची बड़ सिंहार बेस देखिया पे ताको ड्राइवर को कहले एवं कंप्लीटली इनकॉग्निटो सी तंकर ड्राइवर को धरिकरी राति अधरे राति 10टा बेले इनफैक्ट एटू बाहरले एवं सेठी पहुंची गिर भी से चाहिए डिस्ट्रिक्ट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को कही देते गोटे फॉर्मर गवर्नर प्रोटोकॉल अनुसार सब दर्शन कर देता सी ता कले नहीं सी नॉर्मल डिवोटी हिसाब से जाइकरी केवल सेठी जड़े जो टेम्पल पुलिस ताकू विश्वास को लेकिरी से गले एवं दर्शन करिक राति 1:30 2टा बेलू को सेठू फेरिले एवं सेटा देखौची जे माने तांकर जगन्नाथ प्रति तांकर जो भक्ति विश्वास को दर्शाइबा सहित सी जे जड़े साधारण निजको साधारण व्यक्ति हिसाब रे गणती राज्यपाल रही सारा परे मध्य तांकर से एयर्स नथिला से साधारण डिवोटी हिसाब रे जाइकी दर्शन करिकरी आसिले सीटा गोटे मु भाबुची तांकर जगन्नाथ भक्तिर केवल उदाहरण नुहे तांकर ह्यूमिलिटी एज ए पर्सन गवर्नर थिला बेले आपण आश्चर्य हेबे मते तांकर जने चाइल्डहुड फ्रेंड जो माने सब जाइथिले 4-5 जण ताकू भेटिया पे सिठी गले से दिन 4-5 दिन से माने रहिले ता भितरे दिने तांकर कथबार्ता हला जे सबुदिन तो ये जो कटलरी ये खिया होची हमर चीना माटी पात्र रे आज चलो हमर जेमती ट्रेडिशनली आम खाऊ खली पत्र रे से खली पत्र रे आम खाइबा सेठू राजभवन परिसर रे से शाल गछ गुड़ाए लगे बाउंड्री चारिपटे शाल गछ निजे जाइए पत्र तोलिकी आणले एवं सांग मान सहित बसिकी सी सेठू गुंथिले थाली तैयारी कले एवं से सांग जी मते नारेट करथिले सी कहले जे माने आमे समस्त बनेलु किंतु तांकरी थालीटा सबुठु सुंदर हेतिला एकदम परफेक्ट जेमती हुए सेमती हेतिला तो सेटा तांकर ह्यूमिलिटी रो आ गोटे माने एवं चाइल्ड लाइक गोटे चाइल्ड तांको भितर अछि सेठी गीत गाइले तांकर ट्राइबल गीत गाइले एवं माने दे रोसई करि पकेले तो से सब जिनस गुड़ाक तांकर ह्यूमिलिटी सी एपर्यंत बजाय रखिंट एवं सबुदिन बजाय रखिथे राष्ट्रपति है पर भी मत लगुच विशेष किसी परिवर्तन से नथिबो एवं है नहीं यस हाँ तो सेटा मु भाबुची जगन्नाथ पाखे जमती सबू all divisions of class, caste, religion एवं region सबू जमती माने लीन हो जाए तांको पाखे सबू पैरोकियलिज्म समस्त प्रकार संकीर्णता सबू तांको पाखे लीन हो जाए सी इज इक्वल तांकर जने मुस्लिम सपोर्टर मते जुटी गला बादाम पहाड़ रे सी तो बीजेपी रो नेत्री किंतु I was surprised that Muslim guy was talking so glowingly about her. मते देखेला आगे देखंतु आगे ये जो मस्जिद टा देखुचंदी से स्टेशन पाखे गोटे मस्जिद अछि कहले जे मैडम आसिक जेते बेले आसंती बादामपाड़ आम आम मस्जिद रे जाई करी से मुंडिया माने तांकर रेस्पेक्ट देई के आसंती एवं खाई चिंकी आसचंती अनेक थर तो से जो आमे जो बीजेपी सहित एसोसिएशन जो अनेक आमे भावी दो किंतु सी इज अबव ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ पैरोकियलिज्म से जो संकीर्णता बा से जो पैरोकियलिज्म तांको भितर नाही से तार संपूर्ण ऊर्ध्वरे तो सेटा होचे आई थिंक जगन्नाथ कल्चर सबुठु बड़ सी माने वार्ता भाव ताकू कुआ जाई परिबो माने कैरियर ऑफ द ग्रेट जगन्नाथ tradition.
Thank you so much. I am thanking both the guests today, and we will be actually looking forward to the biographies. If there are any other questions, we can take, please.
Actually, Madam Swaraj only one observation. Why so quickly one write a biography? First point, because she has the topmost 5 years left at least. She may do wonders as the President of India. I feel because she has, it may be embarrassing because already Penguin Commission and other things. And I thought Swaraj may ask that question. But why? That first point. Why you want to write a biography? Even about Penguin.
Or whatever it may be. When she's just starting her career and we expect lot of things as you just told, as President of India, lot of things expected. Second, Barack Obama, just compare Barack Obama, she's also from that background. If you read Audacity of Hope of Barack Obama, when he was senator, and before becoming president, then another book came, then he write his autobiography, just his writing. Second, this is the first observation, why now biography? Write biography, and it's a commercial value or some inspirational value. I feel, now write biography, no problem, but wait for more things to come, so that is a complete biography. Second is my personal view. I like what you told, 90%, I agree, and I read from the paper. But one thing I don't understand, she's such a nice lady, which is a fact, as a mother, why she could not bring those two boys, two children, because one died, as per her version, I read in paper after she became president, one died in a mysterious circumstances, one in accident, untimely death both. As a mother, how you take Madam Murmu? Because she is a good mother, no doubt, because daughter is there, we have seen all the things. The two young boys or youth, they have untimely death. Could not she motivate them to rise? No, I don't want to explain more. These 2 points I am not worried. You tell good things, all are telling good things, there's nothing big. One is why biography now? Second, as a mother, how you rate her, considering the untimely death, because they are not established children, because in public life, okay? What prevented her to groom them? Thank you.
I think the first question that you asked should have been ideally addressed to the publisher rather than the author, because it was not, obviously, everybody wants to cash in on her nomination, and why should we think that this is the last biography? This is maybe, these are the first 2 biographies, and there will be many more. Some during her presidency, some after her presidency, and maybe much better biographies. But they want to come to the market first, naturally, to cash in on the first tribal becoming the president of India. And obviously, there is a lot of interest even outside India about Droupadi Murmu becoming president. So obviously, as a leading international publisher, Penguin is keen to cash in on. There is no hiding, nothing to be ashamed about this. There is definitely some commercial consideration. And about your second question, I couldn't really get what you wanted to say. What she could have done.
One daughter we are seeing now, a beautifully raised child, Itishri, who's her daughter. So if something has happened, like sometimes in life, we all know circumstances go beyond our control. Our children are always not in our control. The best of parents can have the worst of children. And therefore, I don't think this is a topic of that we need to discuss. And I'm sure that, like Bhai said, that she's a mother to the nation. Let's look at those things and, I think Droupadi Murmu has far, far more to her than the other things that can be ignored. Thank you.
Any more questions? So thank you very much. It was such a lively session. We all enjoyed. Thank you.